Okay, look, I'm gonna level with y'all here. I've been playing a lot of Zelda this week, and there just doesn't seem to be much else going on anyway, so I'm just gonna come up with some crazy fake news story. What's the most ridiculous headline I could come up with? I don't know. CIA using Pokemon to hack smartphones. Wait, what? Believe it or not, it's true, in a sense. Last week, WikiLeaks released their Vault 7 document dump of CIA leaks. 8,761 documents and files were released detailing the CIA's hacking program, specifically centered on its use of malware and weaponized exploits to turn everyday devices like television and cell phones into listening tools. The leaks include a list of exploits and techniques for hacking Android devices, many of which were developed by a CIA employee or contractor going by the handle Anglerfish, who developed a habit of naming hacks after Pokemon, such as Doug Trio, a vulnerability found in Android 4.0 and 4.1.2 devices that could allow remote access. Another remote access vulnerability found for 4.0 through 4.3 devices was named Starmie. It seems that Anglerfish isn't just a fan of the first generation of Pokemon either. Gen 2 Pokemon like Steelix and Flappy also populate the list. Totodile, for instance, is a vulnerability on KitKat devices. And Anglerfish isn't even the only Pokemon fan working with the CIA. While most of the Pokemon named exploits can be attributed to that contractor, another contractor by the name of Peppermint named a hack after the legendary Lugia. And before you Apple users get too excited, don't expect to see one of those "we don't get viruses" commercials about this. The leaks also name 14 iOS exploits, though none of them are named after Pokemon. And it's not just American intelligence agencies putting geeky references in their projects either. A joint venture between the CIA and MI5 called Weeping Angel was designed to activate Samsung televisions and set them to a fake off mode while processing audio. In other words, much like the Doctor Who villains, your TV is working against you when you're not looking at it. Apparently discussions were also held about targeting vehicle control systems. No pop culture references there, just kind of scary. But hey, enough real-world stuff, let's take our minds off of it with movies. Coming out this week is Beauty and the Beast. Emma Watson has really grown into her own since her Harry Potter days. In this live-action remake of the animated classic, Watson plays a bookish introvert that lives in a magic castle. Also, in spite of the excellent orchestrated trailer, Ariana Grande and John Legend butcher the original song in their cover, so hopefully that version will only appear in the credits. Meanwhile, while Hermione is dancing with the Beast, Ron Weasley is stealing a truckload of gold bullion in a television adaptation of Snatch on Crackle. The 10-episode series won't be directly tied into the Guy Ritchie movie, but if the trailer is any indication, the show will be faithful to the spirit of the original. And speaking of the originals, the spin-off from The Vampire Diaries finally returns for its fourth and I presume final season on the CW. Meanwhile, over on Netflix, the wait is finally over for the last of the Defenders to show up. Iron Fist's first season will be released on March 17th for your binging pleasure. And in video games this week, we have Styx, Shard of Darkness, a stealth adventure game about a goblin assassin changing the world from the shadows. I've had the original game on my wishlist for ages, but have never found the time to play it. Next up, Dead Rising 4 has technically already been released on PC, but you had to go through the Windows 10 store and buy the deluxe edition, so that hardly counts. This week though, the game is being released on Steam for everybody else to enjoy. And speaking of timed exclusives, though this one only by a week, Nier Automata is out this week on PC, now that PS4 owners have gotten a chance to enjoy their head start. On the opposite side of the spectrum, there's Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. Like its predecessor last year, the nearly 20-year-old N64 game is getting a PC port with updated visuals, at least as far as they can be updated. Then we have Chaos Code New Sign of Catastrophe for this week's anime-styled fighting game with a silly name, and speaking of silly names, Snowflake's Chance gets on the list this week mostly because of its clever title. The game is a side-scrolling platformer that appears to be about a bunny trapped in the pit with 99 chances to escape. And finally, the 10th line is our indie RPG of the week, though much more elaborately designed than the usual fare, featuring puzzle platforming, turn-based combat, and it looks like card battling. Wrapping things up with this week's CGBros video, we have Liber by Valentin Tornbys, a short but funny bit of CGI slapstick. And finally, I'm not quite done with Zelda yet. This week's awesome video comes to us from Video Game Donkey, who does things in Breath of the Wild that no mortal man would ever dream of.
Embarked, set sail for adventure, ladies and gentlemen. I christened this ship the SS fucking piece of shit. Maybe it's still, no.
That's everything for this week, so how do you feel about your smartphone knowing that the CIA may be listening in on it? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, pass this video around to your friends, and have a happy St. Patrick's Day!